Kate Pocock, who is Emergency Program Coordinator for the City of Parksville, discusses how households can be prepared in the event of an emergency.
Emergency Management Oceanside, or EMO, is a partnership between the City of Parksville, the Town of Qualicum and the Regional District of Nanaimo. We have an agreement to share resources, to share our training, to practice together in order to provide an efficient and effective emergency management service to all of the communities in the Regional District. The top 3 hazards that we face in this community are wildfire, overland flooding, and wind events. So at Emergency Management Oceanside, we plan for all hazards, but we are aware of those that could potentially cause the most risk to our communities. If an emergency event happens in your area that first responders won't be able to get to you right away, you have to be prepared as a household to be self-reliant for at least 72 hours, which means surviving without running water, without power, and without being able to access a store. It's also important to know how to do things like turn off the water shutoff, the power, and the gas to your household, and to know how to access the information from your local authority so that you can keep up to date with safety updates and to know whether to shelter in place or evacuate. An emergency kit is all of the supplies you'll need to keep your household safe without anything externally for at least 72 hours.
Volunteers from Emergency Management Oceanside discuss what households can include in their emergency tote.
One thing to remember when you're putting your emergency tote together for your family is to include documents like your insurance, passport, care cards, driver's license, and birth certificate. These are emergency food rations. You should have at least 3 days of food rations for your entire family.
So one of the main items is warm clothing, such as a hoodie or a pair of sweatpants or a sweatshirt for each member of the family. Second is a warm blanket for yourself and for each member of the family. Again, especially if you're staying overnight, you'll need something warm to keep you safe during the night. And finally, these emergency survival blankets, or space blankets as they're known, available from various stores. Really good for keeping in the heat if you're in an environment where there is limited or very little heat available to you. The main thing is to keep yourself warm.
Something to remember is personal items. Toothbrush, toothpaste, soap, any of the personal items you might need, deodorant, and they go in a plastic bag in your tote. Other necessities that are important to take in your tote is toilet paper, because you don't know where you're sheltering, and also something to eat out of with some silverware.
It's important to have flashlights and, if possible, also a radio, and they can be obtained with crank power so that you don't have to worry about batteries failing on you. Another thing that's important to have in your emergency kit is a first aid kit. And also, every family member should have medications that they need, enough for 72 hours. It's important to have 4 liters of water per person per day for an emergency, because you have to be prepared for the first 72 hours.
One of the most important things for emergency preparedness is to make sure that your gas tank never gets below half. So fill up your tanks and be safe.
It's important to rehearse an emergency situation, whether that be sitting down at the dinner table and just discussing the things that different people would do in the household, or even practicing arranging meetings somewhere one day.
Hey guys, good to see you.
Hey, good to see you. Good to see that you all got out safely, and it's a good thing that we had this plan and a place to meet.
Everybody got their emergency kits with them?
I don't have any power, but got my bag in the trunk of the car and I got a full tank of gas, so I should be good to go for at least 72 hours.
How about the pets? They're all taken care of?
Yeah, it's really important to be prepared, because during an emergency, the emotions kick in and it's hard to focus on things. But if you've planned it and if you've rehearsed it, it gets a lot easier.
Getting together and knowing what's going on. Once we got our families in place, then we're able to come here and make sure everyone else in the neighborhood was fine.